Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 134. If you're interested in seeing my initial reaction to this chapter, you can go check it out. I uploaded it a little earlier today. And speaking of reactions, my boy Griever is going to be doing another Jujutsu reaction stream either tonight or tomorrow. Plans on getting to around chapter 20, which means he'll be getting to some very important things like Megumi vs. Sukuna, Unlimited Void, Toto, and the start of the Junpei arc. So if you're interested in that, you should definitely go check out his channel. I'll probably link it in the description, and whenever his live stream happens, I'll be sure to link it there as well. So you can check it out there for future reference whenever I get around to adding that. So this week's chapter has some very interesting information. I guess I'll go over the big one now, which is the confirmation that Imposter Geto is indeed Noritoshi Kamo. That is the brain inside of his body. Or more accurately, Noritoshi Kamo is one of the people that the brain once inhabited. As he says, he's gone by many names, so you can call him whatever you like. Which leads me to believe that Noritoshi Kamo is not the original body that the brain was inhabiting, because he makes reference to the Edo period, but if I take a look at this very nifty timeline of Japanese historical eras, Noritoshi Kamo was around during the Meiji era, which is after the Edo period, which would mean that it's implied that the brain was around prior to the Meiji period, which was when Noritoshi Kamo was around. And that's like a 167-year time period before the Meiji era. So, based on the way that the brain was talking to Mei, being all like, oh yeah, you're pretty good for a sorcerer of this era, implies that they've been around for a while, at least 5 eras. So it's very possible that this thing has been around for centuries, and that Noritoshi Kamo was just one of many people that it inhabited. And I wonder why. Because it seems like the body switching is that thing's technique. And Noritoshi Kamo may have had something else. So I'm wondering, was Noritoshi also a special grade? Were there not any special grades at the time? Did they even have classifications at that time? Because that was 150 years ago. I don't know. Maybe they didn't really have, like, classifications in that era like they do in the modern time. So that would be very interesting. Maybe it's not even a power thing. It seems like one of the main reasons that the brain took over Geto's body was because, one, he was a special grade, but also because of his control of his cult. So perhaps the reason that the brain took over Noritoshi Kamo was not because he was an extremely powerful sorcerer in terms of curse technique, but because he was extremely influential and had a lot of resources available to him. He was seemingly a very important person in the Kamo clan at the time, maybe even he was the head of it. So it was likely the brain took over his body as sort of like a strategic thing, which is very interesting. So no one was super surprised by this reveal. I think it is more surprising that Noritoshi Kamo is not the person who the brain originates from. He is just one of many people that it is used as a host. So I think we're definitely going to be finding out a lot more about it in the future. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to call this person, because as is joked about in this chapter, we now have 2 characters named Noritoshi Kamo who are walking around at the same time in the same scene. So I don't know, tell me in the comments, what do you think I should call him? Should I keep calling him Imposter Geto? Should I call him Noritoshi? Should I call him Kamo? Because I'm going to call one of them either one of the names. I think in my reaction I called the original one Noritoshi and the current one Kamo. Maybe I'll say Noritoshi Sr. and Noritoshi Jr. Maybe I'll just call it the brain. I don't know. Now that Imposter Geto has multiple different potential names, it's very weird to try and think about what exactly I'm supposed to call him. But I think we may even delve into this stuff very soon with Urayume arriving. It seems like we're going to have potentially 3 separate sides fighting over Itadori. We have Chozo, Urayume, and the brain. I'm just going to call him Noritoshi for now, because, you got the big reveal this chapter. It's possible that Urayume and Noritoshi are still on the same side right now. Because we didn't really see any big schism between them. They were still very clearly working together when we saw them in Dagon's domain that one time, all the way back. But now that Urayume has met up with Sukuna, it's possible that things have changed, and now Urayume is done working with Noritoshi. They're coming to take Itadori and dip. That's a possibility. We'll have to see what happens. Chozo believes now that Itadori is his younger brother. That's probably not going to be great for Itadori's image, considering he just said that in front of a bunch of other sorcerers, including people like Kusakabe, who are open to him being executed. That is probably not great. Yeah. But Chozo trying to fight Noritoshi with curse manipulation, and maybe also fighting Urayume, who we don't know what they do. They had like cursed energy emanating from their fists, so maybe we'll get to see what their technique is next time. But like, that seems like a really fucking bad idea, Chozo. Like, you're pretty good, but you're not even as powerful as any of the disaster spirits. You're like a level beneath them. So that's probably not a good idea to do that. You may get killed, and I'd rather that not happen because you're pretty cool. I like your character design a lot. You seem to be just on the precipice of having a big arc for character development for you, so I prefer you don't kill yourself trying to fight people that you have no hope of beating. That would be bad. So please don't do that. Another fairly important thing we get in this chapter is an explanation of maximum techniques, which apparently have other translations. Some people really don't like the maximum translation. This new translator, a lot of people seem to not be a big fan of. Maximum, I think originally with Esso, with his Winged King technique, it was called like Extreme Technique, but I think the original kanji translation is Supreme, which I actually prefer. It's much cooler than Maximum Technique. Like Supreme Technique, Supreme Uzumaki sounds pretty awesome. I think it sounds better than Maximum, but then you don't have like the alliteration for Maximum Meteor with Jogo. I don't know. It's whatever. I'm really not that bugged by it. But Maximum Techniques are basically the other ultimate Jujutsu techniques. You have domain expansions, and then you have maximum techniques. So with domain expansions, it's basically almost a guaranteed victory unless your opponent also has a domain expansion or they have techniques that are able to counteract the guaranteed hits of domains. With maximum attacks, it's basically just your most powerful curse technique that is not a domain expansion, and they're capable of causing a lot of damage. We saw Essos with Winged King, which is nowhere fucking near as impressive as Maximum Meteor from Jogo, but Jogo was the most powerful of the disaster spirits, only recently surpassed by Mahito in my opinion. But like, yeah, Jogo was levels above Esso, so his maximum technique would of course be way above that. And we get to see the curse manipulation maximum technique with Uzumaki, which is like straight up a Junji Ito reference to Uzumaki, with all the spiral shit. And after Mahito gets swallowed in this chapter, Geto does Uzumaki using Mahito, which is great. I mean, listen, he looks absolutely horrid here. If this is what's in store for Mahito until, I guess, whenever Noritoshi gets killed, I'm cool with that. The dude just kind of gets used as like a weapon that has no control over his own action. It's just Noritoshi pulling him out every once in a while and wrapping him up into a spiral to shoot cursed energy at people. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, I like that. But this attack seems to be quite devastating, and it's not exactly clear to me what exactly Noritoshi is doing with it. He says that the true value of Uzumaki comes from extracting the technique of a spirit semi-grade 1 or higher. And with Mahito's case, he is special grade, so like, it's going to be pretty strong. Uzumaki itself is essentially just compressing and shooting out a massive amount of cursed energy. So I guess with a special grade like Mahito, you would just get a really big explosion. But I have to wonder if the extraction of the technique means that he can either now use Idle Transfiguration, or if instead of directing Mahito's cursed energy into performing Idle Transfiguration, he's just taking all the energy that would be used otherwise and just uses it to do massive explosive attacks. Both are still pretty dangerous, though in my opinion, if he's able to use Idle Transfiguration, that's like way more dangerous. So we'll have to see what exactly in depth that means. Other than that, we got the appearance of the rest of the Kyoto students. Miwa tries to not be useless for once. It does not work. And Kusakabe steps in to save her. So it seems like we're finally getting to see Kusakabe do stuff. They both practice the new shadow style, so I'm assuming when we get to see Kusakabe show off, we'll be getting an idea of what Miwa should be able to do in the future, when she's not useless anymore. Poor Miwa. Urahime is also here, and I believe someone in the comments pointed out that she is a semi-grade 1 sorcerer, so not as strong as Kusakabe, but at least on the level of Inumaki. And Inumaki's just a student. I'm very interested in seeing what exactly Urahime can do, because we have seen her almost get into fights with people before, such as during the Goodwill event, but we haven't seen what she can actually do. So with characters like her and Kusakabe, who've sort of been standing around as side characters, I want to see what they can do. It's like with Ino, where Ino got introduced, like, in chapter 29, like at the end of the Junpei arc, and we didn't see him do anything until the late 90s, like into the Shibuya incident very recently, like within the last year, I think. So with these two, they've been around for a while. Urahime much longer than Kusakabe, but Kusakabe has been standing around for the whole arc, and I would be shocked if we didn't get to see him do anything even mildly significant. Same with Panda, who's now here in his gorilla mode, so we may get to see Panda do something again. And with Urahime, she's been around almost as long as Ino was at that point, so I think it's about time to see what she can do as well. So I'm very excited to see where that goes in the next chapter, which unfortunately is not out for another 2 weeks. Damn, this is a fucking shame, you know. As soon as I unlock monetization, my most viewed series goes on breaks every week. I don't want to make that sound like I'm like some kind of money-grubbing asshole. It's just like I'm finally able to make an income off of this. Like, this is my only source of income for the time being. It's a very important time for me to be making and saving money. So it's just naturally, right when I fucking start it, it's just no chapters for weeks. Like every other week, you just get no chapter. Hopefully, this will not last. Hopefully, Gege is going to stop doing this after we get back from the next break. I don't like having to wait 2 weeks for each chapter. I don't like fucking waiting that long for new stuff to come out. I don't like waiting that long to read a new chapter. I'm very... If you've heard me talk about this before and you watched my Q&A video, Jujutsu is my favorite series in Shonen Jump. So, I don't like having to wait very long to read new chapters, unless it's Shonen Jump that's going on a break again next week, because I know My Hero's on a break as well, so that may not even be Akutami's fault. But, like, it wasn't Akutami's fault last week either. Listen, I don't like waiting very long amounts of time. That's why this 3-week gap between Jujutsu episodes is killing me. By the way, episode 13 of Jujutsu Kaisen, absolutely fucking tremendous. We got like at least 5 whole minutes of Sakuga stuff. Fucking tremendous. There was that one part where Sukuna cuts Mahito that I wasn't a big fan of. It started when they hit it with the CGI blood, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I've talked about CGI before. I think CGI can work, but not when it's done to basically be lazy and not do other work. So with the CGI blood, I was like, why did you do that? You guys have shown that you can draw, like, blood before. It's not very hard to animate, as far as I can tell, considering how many animes are able to animate, anime quantities of blood. That was weird. And the animation style got very bizarre, and I thought it was CG. I thought Sukuna and Mahito were all CG. But apparently they're not. Like, they went into such a level of animation that they look like they're CGI, which is... what the fuck? I had to, zoom in on Sukuna's face. And I had to slow down the scene where Mahito is spasming like a model from a PS1 game. I fucking hated that part of that scene. It looked so janky. It just totally took me out of it. And it's not CG. I'm like, what the fuck? Did they draw this at, over 24 frames a second? Is anime 12 or 24 frames? I can't remember. But yeah, they kind of went nuts with that for no reason. I think it was the lighting that made it look CG. Either way, I wish they didn't make the blood CGI. That just looked out of place. It was way too high up on Mahito's shoulder. There was, no impact to it. It was just there was blood coming off of Mahito's shoulder instead of, these deep cuts being sliced into him and him just gushing out blood. I think they should have done that a bit differently. But overall, that episode was fucking amazing. Just the animation. Mahito's domain expansion looks absolutely fucking incredible. I can't believe it. It looks so good. So I'm excited to see all the other times it gets used. And after the break-in episodes is over next week, we finally start the Goodwill event. So I'm very excited for the stuff that happens in that. And with that, that's all I have to say for this week. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a chapter. So if you don't want to miss any of those, you should definitely subscribe and click that notification bell so you're notified whenever they come out. If you enjoy other series such as Record of Ragnarok, Chainsaw Man, and Kengan Omega, I do videos in those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. If you enjoy discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to it on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.